Dandavat pranams to all. We are continuing with our Upadeshamrita challenge. We reached the 9th verse. So now we've crossed over all the planes of material existence, material experience, and we are entering the plane of divine experience. We've left the plane of mundane variety, and we're entering a plane of spiritual variety on the other side. Now there's a clean platform that's been established, and now the positive, spiritual, progressive side is going to be described. And so there are a few key points about this 9th verse, and one of them is that we are being introduced to the science of rasa, divine rasa. Rasa, divine taste, divine relationship, divine joy, ecstasy, all of these things. This is rasa. And so this is what's being discussed in this verse, and the gradation therein, within that world, within that plane. And so, and this verse, it's quite significant, and I think more than any other verse of these 11 verses, I heard our Gurudev Srila Govinda Maharaj quote this verse many times, but I think more than any other verse within this Upadeshamrita, because it's very helpful in understanding and explaining the science of rasa. So we'll get into that. So this is the verse. Vaikunta janito varamadrupodi tatrapida sotsavat rindaranya mudara panidamana tatrapi govardhana radha kundami hapido kulapate premam yukta blavana koryad asya virajato giritate sevam viveki nakha. So I'll get to read the translation here. Higher than Vaikuntha is Mathura, where Krishna took birth. Higher therein is Vrindavan, where Krishna enjoys the rasa dance. Higher therein is Govardhan, where Krishna plays amorously. And higher than Govardhan is Radha Kund, where the nectar of Krishna's prem overflows. Would any wise soul not serve Radha Kund at the base of Govardhan Hill? So many interesting points, and it's from one perspective, this verse kind of rocks your world, because the conventional ideas of theism, the nature of divinity, they're all being turned upside down, right? So first of all, in order to appreciate what's being presented here, one has to understand, one has to appreciate that rasa is the essence. That rasa is the essence of everything. Rasa is what everyone is searching for. Rasa, divine feeling, just feeling, intensity of feeling, ecstasy, joy, love, intimacy, all of these things. This is the essence of everything. This is what everyone is searching for. So rasa holds the highest position. We're not satisfied in the plane of activity. We're not satisfied in the plane of the brain, but joy, fulfillment of the heart, intensity of sensation, experience. This is what we're all seeking. So first we have to appreciate that joy, fulfillment of the heart, this is like the common want, the common need, the innermost hankering of all. So it has the most valuable thing, most valuable position. The value of something can be ascertained by how much of a common requirement it is, right? Like water. Water is one of the most fundamental needs that we have. So it is a very valuable resource, right? So joy is the most universal, is that thing which is of most universal want, most universal need, rasa. So rasa holds the highest position. So the view of our spiritual teachers is that even within the plane of theology, within the plane of theism, religion, the value and the significance of a religious system should be determined according to how much rasa it provides. How much rasa is available, how much feeling, how much intimacy, how much love is available within your spiritual system of thought. How much can it provide? This is how our gurus, our acharyas, they grade divinity, so to speak, if we're not offensive in saying that. And so here we're being told, this what's being presented here is gradation. So Vaikunta Janito Vara Madhupuri. So higher than Vaikunta is Mathura. Why? Because Janito, because the pastimes, the Janma Lila, the pastimes of birth of the Lord's birth took place in Mathura. So this is kind of an interesting point, right? Because normally one would think of the supreme entity, God, as having no parents, right? That's what makes the most sense. The Adi Purush, right? Adi Purusham, who is the origin of all. He must, how can he possibly have parents? He's eternally existent. So how could he, if he has parents, that means someone else is his origin, right? So normally we think of God as this, ageless, eternally existent, divine being in the sky, right? Who's just always there. However, from the perspective of rasa, there's something lacking in that conception. Why? Because there's a deficiency in rasa. There's a deficiency in the relationship, in the intimacy and the feeling that's available. So in Vaikunta, Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu, who more or less parallels the Christian conception of God the Father, the Almighty Creator, and so on. In that persona as this almighty divine being who's eternally existent, okay, it's a very grand thing, but that relationship is not available. That relationship, that feeling of love and intimacy that a parent has for their child, that type of intimate relationship is not available with Lord Vishnu. So there's something lacking in the rasa there. There's some deficiency there in the rasa. So Krishna appears in Mathura. That Janma Lila takes place there. So therefore Mathura is higher than Vaikunta. From the perspective, from the consideration of rasa vichar. Then it's saying higher than Mathura is Vrindavan. Why? Because the rasa, rasotsavat, the rasa lila, these amorous pastimes with the divine damsels of Vrindavan, more intimate pastimes, they took place within Vrindavan. So Vrindavan is higher than Mathura. There's a greater development of the rasa within Vrindavan compared to Mathura. Then higher than Vrindavan is Govardhan. Govardhan, more intimate, more exclusive lila between Radha, Krishna, and Braja Gopis. They took place within Govardhan. So Govardhan is higher even than Vrindavan. Then higher even than Govardhan is Radha Kund. Most intimate, most exclusive pastimes take place within Radha Kund. So Radha Kund is considered to be the highest place. And we can, within the spiritual sky, the nectar of Krishna's prem overflows there. And we can also add here that Srila Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they wrote Bengali verse translations of this verse, as they did with all of the verses of Upadesh Amrita. But there's one line from, I believe it's from Saraswati Thakur's Bengali rendering of this verse, which is well known to many of our devotees. Rindavana Hoita Sheshta Govardhana Shaila Giridhari Gandharvika Jata Krida Koila. And I mention this because our Gurudev requested that this line be printed in the temple room of our Sokel Seva Ashram in California, because he established those deities of Gandharvika Giridhari, right? And that name, Gandharvika Giridhari, these names are Radha Krishna, right? They are connected with the Govardhan Leela of Krishna holding Govardhan, Giridhari, the holder of the Giri, the mountain. So this line, right, is taken from Srila Saraswati Thakur's rendering of this verse, and so our Gurudev requested, because those deities, they are expressing that ideal, they are expressing that mood of Govardhan. So our Gurudev requested that, and you'll see that in the temple room there. And saying simply Vrindavana Hoita Shashta, higher than Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, because there Gandharvika Giridhari Jatakri. Their Gandharvika Giridhari, their intimate play took place there. So then a few other points to bring up here. So as I mentioned, one significant point that is connected with this verse is that of appreciating the science of rasa, appreciating the gradation of divine taste, divine relationship with the Lord. This is how our gurus, this is the measuring rod, right? Rasa. What is the degree intensity of rasa? This is one significant point that comes out in this verse. And another point to be discussed is Govardhan conception, and how Govardhan has such an important place for our Guru Varga. And few things here. One point is that, one interesting point is that, the mood that our gurus have shown is that we never want to rush to the highest place, and so their thinking is, as we are told here, Radha Kund, Radha Kund, and we'll get into more discussion in the final two verses coming up, which are discussing further Radha Kund. So Radha Kund is understood to be, we're told, the highest place in the spiritual sky, but we will not, careful practitioners, they will not rush to the highest place, and even beyond practitioners, but genuine members of this group, they will not rush to the highest place. They will approach with caution. And so what was expressed by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and our Guru Varga is that, Radha Kund is the highest place. That is reserved for our gurus. And we will stay one step below in Govardhan. And so the vision that was expressed by Srila Saraswati Thakur was that, we will stay in Govardhan, and we will go, and we heard our Gurudev express this a number of times, and very early in the morning we will arise, we will go to Kushum Sarovar, collect flowers and various paraphernalia for our seva. Then we will go and we will serve our gurus, assist them in their seva at Radha Kund, which is the highest place. And then at the end of the day, we will return to the safety of Govardhan, one step below. So, this is their mood. We will not rush to the highest plane, always one step below. So Govardhan has been given this special significance, the place that has been aspired for, by our Guru Varga. Raghunath Das Goswami also, he has his famous Govardhana Prarthana Dashakam, Govardhana Vas Prarthana Dashakam, I believe it is called. And the refrain, it's 10 verses, and the refrain, Nija Nikata Nivasam Dehi Govardhana Ton. Oh, please give Govardhan, please give me shelter close to you. And our Gurudev, he, in recognition of this expression of Saraswati Thakur and our Guru Varga, he actually, our guest house there, one of our guest houses, he named it Sri Dayita Das Seva Kunj. Dayita Das, the internal name of Srila Saraswati Thakur, the place of service of Srila Saraswati Thakur. And this is also connected with another incident of great significance, that when Srila Saraswati Thakur was departing from this world, well, first of all, we can mention in his final days, Srila Saraswati Thakur, he expressed this desire to spend his last days in Govardhan. And in fact, he told one of his followers to construct some residence for him there. And that was his idea, to go and spend his final days there. But in the end, it did not happen. But what took place is that at the time, Saraswati Thakur, he left very early in the morning, as I recall. And during the night, his disciple and his follower in Govardhan, Balaram Panda is his name, whom he had requested to prepare something in Govardhan for him, he had this vision, of Srila Saraswati Thakur coming to him in this very ecstatic state of divine madness, and he said to him, Balaram, I have come. Balaram, I have come. And it was so vivid that this Balaram Panda understood this is not just a dream. And so when he arose, he immediately went and he sent a telegram to the devotees in Calcutta, where Saraswati Thakur had been staying, asking, how is Prabhupada? How is he? And he received the news back that Saraswati Thakur just left, just left in the early hours. So we also, have this understanding. Saraswati Thakur came to stay in Govardhan, and so this very Gurudev, he, in this beautiful harmony, with this sentiment and movement, expression of Saraswati Thakur, he made that residence for him. What wasn't possible, what wasn't realized in the manifest pastime Leela of Saraswati Thakur, or Gurudev, he offered that seva in the conscious plane. It is an extraordinary thing, a wonderful thing. And so Jidayita Das Seva Kunja, Gurudev, he named that place of Saraswati Thakur's service. So it has a very special place for our group, or the group of our gurus, at least we can say. And also we can add to this discussion, in a broader sense, the significance of Govardhan, that, this, it is a very special mood. It is a mood of great generosity, magnanimity. It is a curious thing, because it is the highest place of aspiration of our Guru Varga, but there's also this extraordinary mood of magnanimity, generosity that is connected with Govardhan. The Govardhan Leela. Srila Sridhar Maharaj describes, Govardhan represents this sweet, gentle aspect, mood of the Lord. And the worship of Govardhan Shila, this holy stone from Govardhan Hill, is very simple. Normally with deity worship, there are many rules, restrictions, regulations, especially if you compare with the worship of Shalagram Shila, representing Lord Narayan. Very, very strict worship, very, very strict, very particular. But the worship of Govardhan is just the opposite, When Mahaprabhu gave Govardhan Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami, he said, offer every day some Ganji, some Ganga Jal, Ganga water, and Tulasi, Bas. Very simple. And our Gurudev, he was, when he would give instructions, when persons would ask for instructions on caring for Giriraj, Govardhan Shila, he told them you can keep it very simple. You don't need to, even as I recall, you don't need to have second initiation as you normally do with deity worship. You don't need to make so many special offerings. Or make some simple offering in a day. Very simple. Even as I said, water and tulasi, that is sufficient. So it is a very generous worship. Magnanimous mood, and the sweetness of that leela, that is also wonderful to consider. Representing the Lord's protection. Confidence in the Lord's protection. This is one of the 6 limbs of Sharanagati, 6 limbs of surrender, and that ideal is expressed in this Leela, Krishna offering protection to the residents of Vrindavan. So many things to consider, but I think those are the main points. We don't want this to go on for too long, but an important verse for us. And also I'm as I'm diving into this, I'm seeing, I'll just add here, I'm appreciating like how much there's this systematic development in Upadeshamrita. So it's mentioned in one of the commentaries here in the previous verse, it's mentioned, right, that one who's attained to the stage of ruchi, right, divine taste, a deep taste for the Lord, attraction for the Lord, then they should reside in Braja, they should reside in Vrindavan. Then the question may arise, where in Vrindavan, right? And so then picking up on that thread, this next verse is presenting this gradation and showing Radha Kund is the highest place. And then picking up on that thread, in the following two verses, the glories of Radha Kund will be discussed more. So I'm going to stop there. I won't let this go on too long. My Dandavat pranams to all. I'm happy to be with you all on this wonderful journey, Upadeshamrita. Jai Shri Gurudev.